Real quick, before we begin, I am looking into a way of recording an entire video of basically me just speaking Portuguese. I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to do it, but I know that, at least for me, somewhere down the line, it's going to be interesting for me to be able to go back and see what level I was on at this point. And it's probably going to be interesting for you as well, seeing basically what level I'm on and where I'm at in my own language learning journey. So if you're interested, then stick around for that. So you want to learn a language without having to read books. In that case, you have two options. The first option is for you to play video games. I've already made a video on that. In the case where you don't enjoy playing video games, I would basically say that there is no better way for you to learn and get input than watching series. Some of you might say that watching a movie is going to be just as beneficial, but I would actually argue that there are two advantages to watching series instead of watching movies. The main advantage is that I don't often have the time to sit down and watch a full movie. I don't have that amount of time every single day, and I imagine you don't either. What I do have the time to do most days, if not every single day, is I have enough time to sit down and watch an episode of a show that I enjoy while I'm, for instance, eating my dinner. Most days I have that amount of time, and I imagine I'm not the only one. Another thing is that shows are bingeable, meaning that you could spend maybe 6 hours in a day where you're basically just sitting and watching a show. I've done that several times, and with the right show, you can do that for several days in a row. You can't do that with a movie. You could watch like 3 movies per day and such, but you would run out of movies in that series. And another thing is that I am very likely to actually want to keep watching a series, basically just based off of how one episode ends. It's very simple for me to say, okay, I want to watch just one more episode. And then once that episode ends, I'm going to be like, oh, I want to watch just one more episode. And then I keep going like that. That is the way that series work. And movies, they don't work like that. But let's say that I don't have the time to watch that one more extra episode of the series, then that is actually its own benefit, because I am more likely to want to, the next time that I have a few minutes to myself, like 20 or 30 minutes, I am likely to think that, oh, I want to sit down and watch the next episode. And thus, I keep on studying. Anything that makes it more likely for you to keep on studying is a good thing. So, at this point, I assume you've decided, yeah, I want to learn a language by watching a bunch of series. In that case, you are probably asking yourself, what is the best series for me to watch in order to learn a language? I am going to focus a lot on the fact that it is your best choice for learning a language. Because, for instance, I would not suggest for you to be sitting there and watching episode upon episode of, for instance, Pokemon, which is, well, I have a lot of products from that, but I would not suggest for you to be sitting there and watching a lot of episodes of Pokemon. The main reason is because you are not going to be enjoying it. At least you're most likely not going to be enjoying it. There are 2 points that you should consider when you're deciding what series to watch in order to learn a language. Only 2 points. And the number 1 point is that you should enjoy watching the series. That is the number 1 point. I can't stress that enough. I've said it before, I'll say it again. But the second point is that you're getting inputs. It doesn't really matter how much input you're getting, but you're getting some inputs. There are various shows that are actually designed for language learners, and I would highly suggest for you to stay away from those. As strange as that sounds, those shows are not designed for you. They're designed for young language learners. Learners that are going to find those shows interested in. They are not designed for you. Shows that are designed for you, however, are shows like The Big Bang Theory, How I Met Your Mother, and other series that are designed for either teens or people older than that. I assume that most people watching this are going to be a bit older than at least like 6 to 10 year olds in most cases. Now, if you already know that yeah, I enjoy watching, for instance, The Big Bang Theory, then why wouldn't you just go ahead and watch that? Now you might say, but I've already watched that, and thus I don't want to watch it again. I would suggest actually trying to find some sort of show that you already watched, that has a lot of episodes, that you could see yourself actually enjoying watching again. That is my suggestion. For instance, what I recently started doing is I started watching Scrubs, which is probably my favorite TV show. It's a bit old, but I enjoy it, and Disney Plus has made sure that that show is available dubbed in Portuguese, which means I'm learning a lot and I'm enjoying myself. If you can find some sort of show like that, then you're probably going to be enjoying yourself as well. Like I mentioned earlier, that simple thing of enjoying yourself is actually, in my eyes, more important than how much you're learning. Because if you're only learning a little bit, but you're spending about 3 times as long learning it or studying, then you're going to be learning a lot more in the long run than you would have if you spent like 20 minutes. And the only reason why I would actually be able to stand doing something like that for 3 hours every single day is if I was actually enjoying it. And thus, I find myself watching shows that I enjoy, or movies that I enjoy. You can do that from time to time as well. If you are rewatching a series dubbed, then first of all, I would suggest considering if you are going to be finding the dub annoying. If that is the case, then find something else to watch. Otherwise, it's going to ruin the experience for you. Now, if you already considered that and you've decided that that is not going to be a problem, then feel free to keep watching. You're learning a lot. And you can even watch a show like that on day one without having any prior knowledge of the language. You are going to be learning a lot basically by listening to the words that keep showing up, and just based off the fact that you know what's going on in the series. You know what's happening in those episodes. Whether you actually believe that you remember them, you're feeling pretty certain that you do. Nevertheless, you are going to remember a lot of what happens in the show, and thus you're picking up a lot of words. If you feel like it's necessary, then use subtitles or something like that. I don't really care, but find some sort of way to just get input from day one. And especially if you know what's going on, you're going to be benefiting from that input a lot. Just make sure that you're not going to be frustrated by the dubs. Now, especially if you're a new learner, I would actually suggest trying to do something like Anki, which is a flashcard app that helps you memorize things. And it actually shows you the flashcards that you've made with a frequency that depends on how well you actually understand the words. So if I know a word like yes in a language, then I'm not going to be seeing that word a lot. But let's say that it's a word that I might be struggling with, I'm going to be seeing that word basically every single day until I learn it, and then I won't see it for a while. So you can make your own flashcards based off the words that you hear, or you could try to look for other flashcards systems that other people have made, and you're going to be benefiting a lot from that. I know that I would learn a lot from doing that, but I'm probably not going to be doing it simply based off the fact that I don't enjoy it. I tried doing it for a while and I didn't enjoy it. For others, yeah, you'd probably enjoy doing it, and if you enjoy doing it, then it's going to speed up your learning a lot, and thus you're going to be understanding a lot more from the series that you're watching. Sounds like a good benefit, right? Now, I made a video explaining how I would suggest using Disney Plus if you're watching series or movies to learn a new language. The main reason why I would do that is that you probably watched a lot of these movies dubbed into your native language when you were a kid, and most of those movies are available either in English if you're learning English and that's not your native language, or in other languages. Rewatch those movies, or try to find stuff that is available in your target language, and maybe if you're struggling, you might even find subtitles in your native language, and you can use that as a bit of support. You don't have to, but you'd probably benefit a bit from that as well. But still, use Disney Plus. It's probably going to be your best bet in terms of finding movies and series that are available in the languages that you need it to be available in. That is going to be the case for most languages, but there's one exception. And that is if you're learning Japanese. If you are learning Japanese, then use a site called Crunchyroll instead. Now Crunchyroll has a lot of animes streamed in high quality, and it is probably the #1 site that I would recommend for you to use if you're trying to learn Japanese. I don't really have that much experience with it, but I imagine it's not going to be too difficult for you to find the episodes without subtitles or with subtitles in your target language, like finding subtitles in Japanese as well. That's probably not going to be too difficult. So use that instead if you're learning Japanese. Otherwise, use Disney+. That is my main suggestion. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of this video that I am looking into ways of making a video entirely in Portuguese. And so if you're finding this somewhere down the line, I would probably think that that video is going to be the next video. Hopefully it is. And if that's something that you're interested in and it's not been made yet, then feel free to stick around. And I mean, you'll get a notification if you click that bell down there. As always, best of luck with your studies and neck out.